Hi, I'm Katie Bray, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I wanted to talk today about ego and spirituality. I think, it's a widely held idea that the ego is this really bad thing. And we even hear that in some spiritual teachings as well. And I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit about my perspective on the ego and how it plays such an important role in our spirituality. I think that the short version of the message that I would like to get across is, I think what's most important is that we have a healthy ego, and that our egos are really here to be in service of our intuition or of our higher selves. So I'll back it up just a little bit because I kind of got to the point to begin with, but I wanted you to know my position just to begin with. So I think one of the most almost debilitating things that we do to ourselves here in Earth School, and it's another widely held belief, is we get stuck in this whole right and wrong, good and bad, these very dualistic sort of perspectives. And I don't feel that that's beneficial for us. And actually, I think in a lot of ways, even though it's very much, an example of the dualism or the polarity of the planet that we're on, it can also become very heavy and very ego-based, because that means if I'm going to be right, someone has to be wrong. And so it's sort of a zero-sum game where someone wins, then someone has to lose. And maybe that worked for us at a certain time, but I feel that as we are moving at such a rapid pace in this new global consciousness, in this new direction, in this new age, the new earth, we really need to be aware of when we fall into that trap, because I do think it's a trap. What's important is that what we allow out of us is finding that middle ground, really being in the full spectrum, not in the black or the white, but somewhere in the gray, somewhere in the middle. And so I think that this right and wrong, good and bad, it can really be an ego-placed way that sets us up for failure. It sets us up to not just really show up in service of our lives and in service of who we are. It doesn't leave as much space for us to learn and to grow, because sort of innately in that, this idea of right and wrong, it's like learning can't be messy. We can't take a misstep, or there's somehow something wrong with us, or we did something wrong, or we're bad, or there's so many different thought patterns and judgments that can come from that don't give us the freedom to learn how to self-express and self-explore, and to know ourselves more fully. And those are all examples of an unhealthy ego. And I think that even though we can learn a lot from an unhealthy ego, which would be how not to be in our unhealthy ego, often from being in our unhealthy ego. I know it's paradoxical. So I think there's something to learn and to be gained from everything. But I really take a stand that we can learn through less contrast. I know that many of us in our lifetimes have learned through pain. But I want to say that pain is not the only way that we can learn our lessons. Pain is not the only way for us to grow. And so when we look at the idea of ego and the way that it plays a role in our spirituality, is the more that we dial into our higher selves, our intuition, the more that we can feel centered in that place, the more we are able to give our egos or our personality selves direct directions or guidance on what our next best steps of action are. Because we come here to be human. We come here as spiritual beings to have a human experience. And what's important about that is that means we need to be human. That means that we are going to feel a variety of things. We're going to make choices that maybe we end up regretting or we might not do again. These are all really important aspects of our being in the spectrum of our humanity. So the more that we can utilize our personality selves or our ego selves as the tool, as the vehicle that they are here to be, my intuition is not going to build a business. My intuition is not going to partake in every second of every day in a relationship. It's not that it won't be there. I'm not ever going to be absent from it. But the driving force that actually helps me connect with other people in relationship, because maybe I want to share experiences. I want to share things that I've done in my life, for example. They're going to come by way of my personality or my ego. Building a business is going to come by way of hopefully listening to my intuition, but it's going to be my personality or my ego self that's going to create that business, that's going to develop that business, that's going to develop the website or whatever it is. So really, our ego selves, as long as they are in service of our intuition, I really see that they are a spectacular vehicle. We have them for a reason. They are a part of our ascension process. It's just that we have to consistently be the managers of them. We have to manage where we are spending the majority of our energy. And we have to manage the way that sometimes our unhealthy ego might want to hijack parts of ourselves or parts of our lives by, we have an intuition and it's our ego that gets scared and it wants to talk us out of our intuition because maybe the sense that we're having isn't logical enough. And so it automatically wants to shut it down. That's something that I think a lot of people can relate to. And so I think that that's really just a good gauge for us, that if we have an ego that's consistently talking us out of our gut hunches, our intuition, our sense, our sixth senses, our inner sensory perceptions, then I think that's something that's really important to take a look at. But it's not in a way that we're going to make the ego wrong. We're going to take it as information to remind ourselves that, okay, so I'm feeling the pull of my humanity a little bit more than I am of my higher self. So let me just use that as that indicator that I need to lean on my higher self a little bit more and reestablish my center, reestablish my equilibrium with my intuition so that I can get back to using my intuition as the way to guide my ego or my personality self in my life. So I ask of you, I think this is a call to action, to not make yourself wrong, to do what you can to stay out of the right and wrong thinking, the good and bad thinking, and see what ways in your life you can bring your intuition through and allow that to be the call to action for the healthy aspect of your ego to create and express and experience your humanity, to experience the earth plane. That's what we're here to do. So I'm Katie Bray. Please feel free to check out some of my other videos. I talk a lot about the ego in my my series on the chakras. You can check it out on the third chakra. Thanks for visiting. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe. You can like it as well, and you can watch more of my videos right over here.